Alright guys, Mark Zolo here from Nomad.com, and today we're talking about Colombia. This is my first video podcast, so I'm super nervous, but fuck it. If I screw up, I screw up. So some of you guys may know that I spent the last couple of weeks in Colombia. And I have to say, absolutely loved it. It's one of those places that I've met people time and time and again who've traveled over the world, and it's the one place they recommend to me. You know, why hasn't the Naughty Nomad been to Colombia? And I just did refer to myself in the third person. Bad start, Mark. But anyway, so what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about the girls, we're going to talk about the nightlife, the different cities, my experiences there as well. So let's jump right into it. Right, so what were the first three things I noticed about my first impressions of Colombia? Well, the first thing I was surprised by was how touristy it was. Now, I started off in Cartagena, which is the most touristy city. It's a coastal town on the Caribbean coast. It gets a lot of tourists from the States and that kind of thing. A beautiful city. It's considered the most beautiful city in Colombia. It has like this really nice old wall town. It's got like a castle fort thing on the hill. And then it's got this stretch of land that goes out to the water that has lots of skyscrapers, and it's kind of really rich looking. It kind of looks like Miami. And there's a good party scene there as well. But I was really surprised at how many tourists there was. Tourists everywhere. Carnival was the same. We went to Carnival in Barranquilla. Tayrona National Park, which is about 3 hours away from Cartagena. It was so bad there that we were waiting 3 hours in a line just to get into the national park, like a big jungle. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. Lonely Planet just named Colombia as the number 2 place in the world to go in 2017. So that drove tourism up a lot. Canada's number 1 for those who are interested, which I'm going to in June, by the way. Yeah, but the park was closed for a month, and it was just after Carnival, so there was a little leeway there, and it was still incredible. Don't get me wrong. Medellin as well, very touristy. There's tons and tons of hostels, loads of gringos, loads of foreigners. I went on a tour there to a place called Guadalupe, and there was like 40 other people on the bus with me, all Americans, mainly Europeans actually, lots of Germans and some Slovakians, Swedes, everything. And then in Bogota, saw plenty of gringos too. I have a friend who's been living there for the last 6 years. He's dating a model there. He showed me a really good underground scene. But we'll get to all the nightlife later. So diversity. Diversity is my next point. But yeah, touristy. And then diversity. Actually, before I talk about the diversity there, there's another point here that's very related to the first thing. That's how developed it was. Really developed. So Cartagena was so clean. They're really organized in Colombia. I mean, there's a couple of things I saw that I've never seen anywhere else in the world. For example, if you take a bus, you kind of go up on this platform, you pay like you would into a metro, and then you stay in these stations that are raised, which are completely blocked off. And then you kind of the doors open and you enter the bus on a height, on a raised level, as if you were getting onto a train. And there's no way in and out of the stations. It was really weird. And even if you go to taxi ranks, they have like people there who are professionals who sort out your taxis, and you don't pay them. They just kind of help you out. It was really organized, and even the buses had Wi-Fi, and it was really surprising how developed it was. And still some of the buildings, the skyscraper in the skyline Cartagena blew my mind. Same with Medellin. Not so much Bogota, that's kind of a shithole, but Medellin, lots of skyscrapers. They have a metro line there. So, yeah, I was really surprised how developed it was. And third point is, as I mentioned, diversity. Colombia is like a subcontinent. That's what I felt like. I mean, if you go to the coast, the people are dark skinned. It's a totally different vibe. It's really hot there. And then you go to Medellin, it's like springtime. It's all lighter skinned people. It's in the hills. Bogota, again, completely different. It's a huge city with 8 million people. It has more of a European feel. The weather is fucking shitty. and cold. I really just couldn't get over the differences between regions. I mean, they have different names to them. They call the people on the coast costeñas, and then there's paisas in Medellin, and quinchacos, I always say that fucking wrong, but they're the Bogota people. And each region has their own dishes, their own music, their own dances. It's really quite incredible. There's so much to explore and know there. I have to say I was really kind of blown away by it. I can see why they had a civil war. They had like 8 civil wars or something like that between like federalist and centrist parties. So like some wanted Colombia to be a federation of different states, and I can see why that is, because it's so different. Even the dialects. When I was speaking Spanish in Cartagena, I found it so hard to communicate with people there, just to understand them. They cut all the words, like verdad. They have. I'm trying to think of examples, and I'm doing a very bad job. But basically, they cut all the words. They're super fast. And then when you go to Bogota, they're like super clear, very slow, very neutral, and very easy to understand. So yeah, so different everywhere I went. And then I went to the countryside, and that was completely different again. So what do I want to talk about next? Will I talk about what I did, or the girls, or the nightlife? Well, first of all, I'll tell you what I did really briefly while I was there, and then we can get to other areas. So I flew into Cartagena, then did Carnival in Barranquilla, which is a town about an hour and a half away. That's kind of the main town for Carnival in Colombia. That was great fun, but got way too drunk. Retired early. And to be honest, this is gonna seem surprising to some of you. Before I go on, I should say I was there with a Colombian girl. So I met this girl, gorgeous girl, on a cruise in Europe. And we hit it off. She ended up living here, in the Mediterranean with me for 2 months. She went home for Christmas with me. And then I decided, that's kind of a big reason why I decided to go to Colombia. So I spent my 2 weeks there with her. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Like bringing a fucking sandwich to an all-you-can-eat buffet. And yeah, I can see where you're coming from, because fuck me, Colombian girls are bleating gorgeous, and you get a lot of attention there. Like I'll get to that later. I'll get to the girls later, but to be honest, sandwich to an all-you-can-eat buffet, but it was a very nice sandwich, gourmet. So I really don't feel too bad about it. And to be honest, I've had a lot of experience with Colombian women living in New York. So I said we'll get to that in the girls section. But anyway, I just want to give you guys a heads up. I'm not going to be disingenuous and deceptive here. So anyway, Barranquilla, then Tayrona National Park, which is about 3 hours away from Cartagena. Spent the night there. That was nice. A bit touristy, but beautiful place. Then it was Medellin. And from Medellin, there was Guadalupe, which is like a big rock thing. It's a countryside thing. But over there, you can play paintball in Pablo Escobar's mansion, which is pretty fucking badass. It was great fun. And then the other place I went around there was a place called Gardine. It's about 3.5 hours away from Medellin. Little town, not a lot of people know about it. Fantastic. It's where my Colombian girl's dad's from. He used to work for Escobar anyway. But that's I'll talk about that later in the podcast / video. Yeah, beautiful place. We were able to rent horses there. Just rent horses, no guides, and just take the horse, and he's like, come back whenever, and we just walk around the town, past the cars, main square, up into the hills, just able to rock a horse. It was fucking brilliant. Now also went paragliding for the first time there, and it's called Gardine because it's famous for its flowers and trees, and it really is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been in my life. And the food there, Jesus. Well, there's so much to talk about. There's so much to talk about when it comes to Colombia. And then I finished off in Bogota, and then I had a friend there who's been there 6 years. I went to college with him, and he showed me this serious like underground scene. I had absolute blast, absolute blast. It was a good way to end it. Now my girl's back now in Colombia. She obviously couldn't stay in Europe because of the visa, so that's why I have the time now to talk to you fine folks, because to be honest, I was kind of lazy when she was living here for 2 months in the Med. It was kind of like domestic bliss because Colombian women can cook. Well, at least this one could. I don't know if that's a standard thing, but fuck, the food was incredible. I think she even might beat my mom. Mom, you cook awesome, by the way. You know, my mom is an incredible cook. It's just different. Let's just say different. Really different. But where was I going with this? Anyway, moving on. Let's just get into the bit I know all you motherfuckers want to hear about. That's what I thought of the women. Okay, so as I said, going back to the diversity point, you really see different looks in different areas. But in general, I thought Colombian women were fucking sexy, really sexy. I mean, facially, not so much. You don't see a lot of. I think you see a lot nicer faces in Europe. I mean, you do see beautiful girls occasionally. For example, my girl, very, very beautiful face, but it's rare. But bodies, holy shit, damn! It's like, I think they're the nicest bodies I've seen in my life. For me personally. I mean, if those who know me, I have a certain preference. You know, like I like curves. I like voluptuous women, and they're just some of the asses and tits and the hip to waist ratios, just and the dark, like some of them dark skin, light skin. You got everything there. I mean, and it's sunny, so you see a lot of skin on show. It's intense. The first day there, I was my head was spinning. I'd come from a cold Europe where, where everyone has fucking flat asses, and then to go to Cartagena with all these little chicas with their fake it's also the number one place in the world for like fake tits and ass. I don't know if that's correct. I don't have a fact checker here. I need a Jamie from Joe Rogan, but yeah, but it's, you see girls with like fake tits, fake asses everywhere, and you're just like, whoa. It's just your brain, just my monkey brain, just can't even think when I was seeing it. It took a while to get used to it. I'll be honest. So yeah, I mean, this I said there's different looks for different regions. If you go to the coast, they're more dark skinned, so they're a bit thicker. I personally like that. Yeah, you see a lot of nice girls in Cartagena. But the ones that are most famous are Medellin, and that's because in Medellin, the rich parts, the average girl on the street isn't that good looking, but in the rich parts, when they're hot, they're like 11s. Okay, not 11s, but I'm talking. They'll have like implants. They'll be slim, big waists, fat asses, really beautiful face, and this like light skin with super long straight black hair. If you want to get a sample of it, if you're there, just go to Hooters. The Hooters staff in Medellin is just ridiculous. Like they all look like porn stars. Yeah, it's just I said, but luckily I'd acclimatized at that stage. I don't look at porn. I broke a few months ago for trying out VR. You can read my posts on it. It's very good. But generally, so I'm not exposed to that kind of level of sexiness, and it's intense, intense. Woosah. I know my girl's gonna be watching this as well, and she's not gonna be too impressed with my lavish praise. But you're hot. Come on, you're hot too. Don't worry about it. She's read all my books. It's fine. Yeah. So the girl, and also very, very friendly girls. You need Spanish, though. You do need Spanish. a lot of girls have very, very poor English. So that's the biggest thing I would say to any guy going to Colombia. You gotta learn Spanish, and it's not that hard. Pimsleur, that's the one you often hear touted about. I haven't used it for Spanish, but I've used it for several other languages, and it's fantastic. So learn Spanish. That's the number one thing. But other than that, I mean, I got a lot of attention to be. I don't look particularly exotic in Colombia. Maybe on the coast. But in Medellin, I mean, people with my skin tone, dark hair, it's not so exotic. What I notice there is nobody has beards. The local guys can't grow beards or don't grow beards. So a bit of facial hair, a bit of scruff will make you stick out a bit. Girls really seem to like that. But even though I don't look that exotic, like I'm not some 6 foot blonde hair, blue eyed dude, I got a shitload of attention, to be honest. When I was walking around Medellin, I was just walking around alone for like an hour or two, exploring the city, and I got girls like catcalling me, like, and got a lot of hisses, like, come here. And I even had a girl pass me, and she was like air kissing me. It was fucking crazy. Now, I don't know if all these girls are fucking putas or hoes or whatever, but I was quite surprised with that level of attention. I don't think I've got that level of attention, maybe like some parts of Africa or maybe Philippines a bit, but the girls seem more forward. And it's one thing you often hear from Colombian women, that the women are like men. They often initiate an approach, or at least give like serious eye contact or some sort of pre-invite. I got a lot of fuck me eyes from women just walking on the street, even like old women just like, I want that gringo loving. Yeah, it was good for the ego. Definitely good for the ego. So yeah, they're very friendly. And even though my girl is very, very, very good looking, she used to model and stuff. But even girls who saw me with her would hit on me. For example, I'd go to the bar for a drink, and I'd have her right beside me, and the bartender, one bartender, cute girl, was like, "You're so very handsome." Now, I don't know why I said that like a fucking Japanese person, but yeah, like just giving compliments, smiling, a lot of that kind of stuff. I had one girl who I don't know if I should tell you this, but yeah, maybe not. But I had another girl who hit on me pretty hard in front of my girlfriend. Like, I was pretty fucked up, but from what I was told, she was sucking my fingers. Well, that's what my girl told me. I don't remember. I was pretty fucked up. That's pretty bad though. Yeah, but that's kind of what you're dealing with. The girls are randy there. They're horny like men. Whew. Yeah. So I mean, if you speak some Spanish, you dress well. People dress well, by the way. All the gringos, if you go there with shorts and socks with sandals, not so much. But I mean, if you have a little bit of style going there, and maybe go a bit of facial hair, speak a bit of Spanish, you're gonna have a pretty good time in Colombia. Now, prostitution though, and pre-pagos. Let me talk about that for a minute, or just the girls in general. Most Colombian women, the vast majority, expect the man to pay for everything, right? Now, like I said, exception, my girl, 50-50 on everything. She's great like that. And you'll meet girls like that. My friend's dating a model, 50-50 with her as well. But in general, with Colombian men pay for dates. They pay for beers, they pay for dinner, they kind of pay for everything. So a lot of Colombian women, when they meet you, they will expect the same. And maybe even more so because you're perceived to have sort of wealth and status and a bit of cash. But then again, if you don't compromise, there's plenty of guys who don't compromise. You say, listen, this is how it works in my culture, and she'll respect that. And I don't like paying for. What I'll do is, and a taxi. Some of the girls ask for taxi money. I hate that shit. Like, personally, what I do is I'll buy a round. I'll buy the first round, and then see what they do. When I was in New York, And I dated a couple of Colombians in New York. There was one real this one girl. She was very very snobby Colombian. Obviously, just totally up her ass. She actually was married to a drug dealer, but he was in prison. But that's another story. But she would not take the subway in New York. She's like, they're full of dirty people. Why can't I do Spanish accent today? That was Russian. What the fuck? But yeah, she would pay for taxis like $60 from Flushing to come see me, and and I remember the first time she expected me to pay for it. I was like, what the fuck? No way. She got out of the taxi and she handed over money. She was so pissed off. But that kind of stuff. And that was one in New York. The cheek. So there's a bit of that. I mean, if guys, to be honest, take them for a couple of drinks. It's cheap as fuck. Is it like it costs what, $1 or $2 for a drink? Like, I think if I was dating in Colombia and if I had to shell out $10 for drinks for a night, I'd do it. Like, some people are just overly idealistic about that kind of thing. I know in America you shouldn't pay for drinks, but in Colombia I think it's a little bit different. That's just my thoughts. I mean, you don't want to come across as a cheap motherfucker as well. So that's a culture there. I'm just giving you guys a heads up. Now, another thing is prepagos. Prepagos is, so during Escobar's time, this thing called prepagos. They're like kind of rent-a-girlfriend kind of things. Anyone who's been to Thailand or Cambodia will be familiar with the women who kind of try and play that game. So the girls, these are girls who are not prostitutes, but they come from money and wealth and status, but they're really good looking, and they know they can use their body and their looks to get money for sex. So they that's what they do. It's their choice. They find rich men to take care of them, and they just expect to be paid for sex. Fuck those chicks, in my opinion. I don't pay for sex. So you see these girls who like dress up to the nines, and they're players, basically. They're players. So the female equivalent of players. The only time I've seen something similar is with Russian girls in New York. They like to play the game as well. And then you got girls on the street. They're just straight up hookers. You'll see a lot of it in Cartagena, and you see it in Medellin. You see it everywhere in the main tourist zones. Just girls wearing nothing, hanging around the street. I mean, don't waste your time. A lot of them look good actually, body wise, but they got like, implants and fake ass and stuff. Nice to look at, but I mean, fuck that. If you're into paying, well, I'm not judging. It's not my style personally. Girls in bars, now that's a different story. So I guess that brings us nicely onto the nightlife portion of today. Let's talk about nightlife, and I'm going to break it down by city. So firstly, Cartagena. What is Cartagena like? I loved the nightlife in Cartagena, and I spent most of my time in Cartagena. So that's where my girl's from. So she showed me all the city, and I really got a good taste for the nightlife there. Pros and cons. It's the most expensive city in Colombia. So, I mean, when I say expensive, it's not really expensive. You're going to drop around max $3 for a drink, for a beer, small beer. But where they really get you is a lot of places have entry fees. You're going to pay 20,000 Colombian, which is something like $6-7 into every place, which kind of gets annoying. It kind of gets annoying to go anywhere good. If you're going on a pub crawl, like paying $6 or $7 into a good place each time, it's kind of annoying. Now there's a tourist area, for the love of God, I can't remember the name, where all the hostel people hang out, and there's a big square and everyone's just drinking on the cheap. But for afterwards, you want to go down this street, and I can't remember the name of the street, but I will put it up in my city guides, my upcoming city guides, which I'll write out for you. It's not in the old town. There's actually a street. It's not Arsenal Street. It's another street. I'll put it in the show notes down at the bottom. And those are my podcasts, so I'll put it in the description. But yeah, so there's one kind of strip, and It's near the old town. That's really, really cool. It got some great bars. Great bars. A couple of ones I liked were, I think it was called Copa. It's a small little place. People, you can grab a can off the street and just, it overflows with people. And you can grab a can off the street and drink and mingle. Now, I was told it's usually full of hookers, but the night I was there was just loads of tourists and local people. There was lots of normal people. Um, yeah, I like that place. Good place to warm up. It was free in, good vibe in there. People dancing, that kind of thing. And also after that, up that street, there's another place called Havana. Now Havana's super famous there. You're gonna pay 20,000 in, and it's about 15 for a mojito. So I think that's like $5 for a mojito. But they got like a 9-piece Cuban band. They do Cuba better than Cuba. Mojitos, great atmosphere. The band going. It's just a great place to be. Now people there are a little bit older, to be honest. Like everyone's dancing as well, but you're talking the average person there is probably like 35 plus, to be honest. But I really liked it for atmosphere, just for atmosphere. And there are lots of single women who go there, and some of them are young. You got some girls in their 20s there, but not exactly a prime spot for picking up unless you're into salsa and you're kind of a bit older. But I really love that place, the atmosphere. So I feel like I have to mention, because that was probably my favorite bar. They did Cuba better than Cuba. And another place that I went was Basurto, which was really cool. Another place with live music. Again, you have to pay in, unfortunately. But a lot younger crowd. They're playing reggae and reggaeton. People were really friendly in there as well. A few young girls. Small place, good atmosphere. I recommend it. So they're kind of my top 3 places. There's all in the old town. Then as well, you have a place called Castro's if you want cheap beer. Or I think it's called Castro's. Again, Salsa place, a little bit older, but just cheap booze, which is hard to find in the old town. Good atmosphere as well. And then I went to a pub there and the Mirador. A couple other places that, to be honest, nothing to write home about. So yeah, my biggest tip, don't fall for all the tourists and the gringos end up going to the old town. Don't bother. Check it out for a night, but that's not where the action happens. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not where the action happens. It's just tourists and hookers. That's my impression of that. The inside the walls, now I'm talking about. Unfortunately, I didn't get to go out in Boca Grande, but from what I hear, the local Colombians, if you want an all Colombian scene, the new kind of hotspot is there's places in Boca Grande. But again, as some of you may know who've read Rush's book Bang Colombia, I'll share a link to it in the show notes. Recommended for any guy going there wanting to get laid in Colombia. It's really comprehensive guide. But yeah, if Colombian clubs are a little bit different because they're very cliquey. People tend to go out in groups, and it's very much like table bottle service kind of shit. Anyone who's been to uptown in New York will know what I'm talking about how Spanish bars are. It's kind of like small tables, bottle service. People kind of dance at the table. It's not a scene that's conducive for picking up at all, quite frankly, especially if the seats mixed groups. You got guys, you need strong. It's status bullshit. Not my scene. But yeah, so they're the place I recommend in Cartagena. Medellin, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of good recommendations for Medellin because I was there midweek. Sorry to disappoint. I was in Zona Rosa, which is the main nightlife area. There was one bar I went to that was absolutely hopping. It was called La Central, and it was Wednesday night. It was the only place. It was absolutely buzzing DJ, but 80% gringos and serious cockfest. There was plenty of women in it, but a lot of like hungry, jack-looking, horny tourists like, where are the women? But I did see some cute chicks in there. It's a place to go on Wednesday night. It's called the Central. I was on a street with a lot of hostels, buzzing every night. So that's worth knowing. I checked out some data sheets on the Roosh V forum for other recommendations. A lot of places where there's like Plan B was supposed to be good that night, but I think it was closed or it's closed down. But that was, La Centra was the place I went. But everywhere else was dead. I was quite disappointed with that. In Zona Rosa, Wednesday night was kind of shitty. And even that bar I went to that was hopping, the kind of disco bar, I was closed by 2. On the weekend, it is a different beast, I hear. I hear it's completely different. But as I said, refer to the show notes for Bank Colombia or some data sheets. I'll put some data sheets in there for more information on that. But unfortunately, I'm not the best source. Lastly, Bogota. I thought the nightlife there was fucking brilliant. That was my favorite place for nightlife. I don't know if I said Cartagena was, but I'm contradicting myself now, and I'm saying Bogota because, okay, it's different. It's different scene. So I have a friend there living there 6 years, and he kind of showed me this kind of underground side of Bogota. So we went to this housing estate so the Zona Rosa, that's the main tourist spot. I think there's 2 Zona Rosas in Bogota. It's 8 million people, remember. We went to a place called Chapinero, which is kind of a little bit off the beaten track, but still in the center. And we came to this, it was like a housing estate. And it was like a house that had be completely converted into this like 2-story craft beer place. So it was a San Francisco guy who owned it. And he brewed like all his own beers down in the basement with like his own ginger ales with like real fresh ginger and cream soda. The place was packed, all kind of expats and a few Colombians. A really cool scene. Again, I'll mention it in the SETI guide. I'll link up to it. Really fucking cool. So I was drinking all these delicious IPAs. It was real kind of hipstery. They had a guitar there. I was singing. It was fucking brilliant. And it was cheap as fuck. It was as much to buy the best beer there as it was for a cheapie in Cartagena. Love the scene. Great atmosphere. It felt like a slice of Brooklyn. I really loved that. And then we went to 1 or 2 more bars. Didn't go mad because I ended up at like a house party till it got bright outside and shit got a bit wild there. That's where the finger sucking happened, and there was loads of people doing cocaine. It was just a bit fucking messy, to be honest. Whew. But good fun. It was a great way to end it. Yeah, so that's Chapinero Alto. Again, there's great information there and lots of data out there on the internet. I'll leave in the show notes. But I'm just trying to give you a taste, trying to give you a feel and share my experience. So that's kind of how Colombia was for me. I was brilliant. It was the first time I went jet skiing. I said paragliding, paintballing, riding horses. I had a fucking great time. I loved it. And the food, I didn't talk about the food, but some arepa con queso in Gardine, delicious. They've bandeja paisa, which is like an Irish fry, Colombian style. They've, and then you go to the coast, it's like fresh fish, platinos, coconut rice. They have so much food, and I've tried stuff I never tried before in my life. And I was taken to all the best places. I was maybe I'm biased because I was with a local and they knew exactly what to put in my mouth. But it was delicious now. And I like the beer as well. Club Colombia's not a bad one. But if you want the best beer in Colombia, go to that little speakeasy style craft beer place I was talking about. So overall, how does Colombia rate? Fucking fantastic. Absolutely loved it, and I'm gonna be back 100%. I love the people, so fucking friendly. The vibe, everyone's dancing, with the street performers everywhere. They've all these different styles. Carnival was a blast as well. I would have loved to kind of. I was only there on the Sunday, unfortunately. I arrived late on the Saturday, but I would love to have stayed in Barranquilla. But at the same time, you're getting ripped off with hotels and stuff. There's just so much more to explore. Another thing I did was I went to the National Aviary, which was fantastic. Colombia has more bird species than anywhere else in the world. It's also the second country in the world for biodiversity after Brazil. And we saw like harper eagles and it was like they had the whole park set up with like waterfalls and all these beautiful sections. And there was no tourists there. I was the only tourist, the only gringo in the whole park. So if you're going to Cartagena, it's about an hour away. The National Aviary really recommend it. It's on Baru Island. Sorry, my card was full on my camera there, so it got cut off again. But Baru Island, I was talking about the Aviary, and also there's another place there. It's a long stretch of sand, beach with loads of bars and restaurants. It's really, really cool. Great place to just chill out for the day. So Baru Island, I highly recommend that. Now, I lost my train of thought a bit there, but what else have I mentioned? I also got my teeth done there. See this smile? I got I chipped some teeth in jiu-jitsu, and I got like 4 cavities done, whitened and all. It was like $200, 4 hours of dental work. What do you think? See that smile? Oh yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of it. I don't think I've missed anything. So yeah, Colombia guys, highly recommended. So this year is going to be pretty busy because of Lonely Planet, but get there eventually. I'm going back for certain. And apologies to all there's a couple of people who wanted to meet up with me. I just didn't get a chance. I was super busy. Next time. But so if you want to see my pictures or videos from my travels, check out my Instagram. Check out Naughty Nomad on Instagram. Also on Twitter Naughty Nomad, naughtynomad.com, of course. Check out my book on Amazon, Naughty Nomad, and also I have a book on New York, Bachelor's Guide to New York City, on there as well. That's it, folks, and until next time. Adios, amigos.